Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Bugwatch. I'm your boy Swissley, and my screen is completely clear. This is great. Nothing's gone wrong yet, John. Nothing has gone wrong yet. This is brilliant.
You've said it.
Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be talking about Tyranids, and of course, one of the most played detachments of Tyranids is Invasion Fleet. Both John and games of reps, would you say, John?
I would say I've got a few now.
Between us, maybe hundreds of reps.
Yeah. I agree. A few.
Yeah. Both with like differing lists. I've done all one stuff. I'll talk to you about, I think, best and worst units for that army. But first of all, I think there's a delay between me and John. Just as I said, there's nothing wrong. So they're going to find out how long it takes for John to answer.
I can hear you. So you are lagging a bit, but I can. When you finish sentences, I can hear you.
There isn't here, mate.
Can Davey hear me? That's the question.
We're going to try our best. John, how about maybe try leave the Everbox and come back in. See if that works.
I'll try again.
Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. Please say hello in chat if you are here. Thank you to James Broughton, who became a chapter master today. Chapter master unlocks several benefits, but one of them is the ability to join our coaching Discord and get coaching from the likes of England's Tom Logan. Oh, that's pretty sweet. From the likes of Ed Watt, who's absolutely fantastic. He's an amazing player. And then me, I do a little bit. So yeah, it's good. It's really good fun. I have to say, I think coaching is one of the best things you can do at the moment if you're looking to progress your game. Getting that one-to-one experience from someone who just have a different perspective on the game is just brilliant. John, how live are you?
Well, I'm fine, but I think I was making you lag or something because you're fine now on both ends.
Perfect. It looks like it's good now. All right, sweet. Yeah. You also might notice I've got a bit of a new Swish camera. Look at this guy. Yeah, very HD. Too HD. But yeah, looking forward to this. So without further ado, let's just get on and talk about some Tyranids, right? Oh no, John. Let's talk about John real quick because John was at. Well, we haven't seen John in ages. John, how are you?
I'm very good. I've been very busy with life. Life does seem to get in the way, but it's nice to be back for an episode, definitely.
Brilliant. And you went to Teams and you took the. Well, I'll let you talk about the list you took.
Yeah, so I went to the ITT just over a week ago. I took Invasion Fleet, as I want to do, but I took my variant of the Gaunt Carpet. So I had 100 T3 bodies on the board. So I've been really enjoying the list. I thought it was a really good metagame call to try and hunt Eldari a little bit. Turns out it was pretty reasonable. I played Eldari twice. So the list I ended up taking was a Tervigon, a Neurotyrant. I've kind of starting to really enjoy the Neurotyrant. Specifically relating to the number of Hormagaunts I have in the army. So I recommend if you have lots of Hormagaunts, definitely consider a Neurotyrant. The ability to throw out 10 mans and strength 4 at range is really good. I then had... And the AP1's good, but the going to strength 4 is so big. It's such a big breakpoint for the army. I then had 2 units of 10 Hormagaunts, a unit of 20 Hormagaunts, 3 units of 20 Termagants with Spine Fists and Flamers. I had 2 Lictors, a Biovore, a Pyrovore, because I had 40 points left over at the end. I had 3 Venom Thropes to try and give the -1 hit and cover. And then I took the standard monster array of 3 Exocrines and 2 Tyrannosaxes with Rupture Cannons. So very, very... The base of the list is very standard, and then obviously just taken a little bit... I took the Horde approach a little bit further. There were a few other Tyranid players playing with some number of Horde, but nothing like... None had a Tervigon, none had the kind of the push out to 100 Gaunts. So I went to the ICC, the Teams tournament, as part of 6++ Alfarius. So I'd finally made my way onto the first team, I guess you can call it, or the one that's always existed. It was a fantastic.
Well, we don't call it that. We don't call it that for political reasons. But
no, I know.
It might well be the first team.
So I had a really good tournament. I was on the team with Chris, our fabled leader of 6++. Harley. So Chris was on Eldari, took Yonari. pretty damn good army. Chris put a lot of beat down on people all weekend, getting paired in some really good matchups. Had Harley on guard, combined arms. We had Alex moving on to Chaos Knights, which turned out to be a really good metagame call. That Chaos Knight army was really good across the board once he got going with it. And then we had Lee on his creations of Bile. He was almost played Emperor's Children, didn't quite get the painting done, so ended up playing Creation of Bile. We finished going 3-0-2, so we got 3 wins and 2 draws. One of those draws was against the Warhamsters, and then the big one in the final round was the winning draw against Vanguard Tactics. We went 53-47. I had a really unfortunate round final game. I got 20-0'd by Stephen Box on Lions of the Emperor Custodes. I went second, he shoved into me, and I bounced 2 shooting phases back to back. To say that my...
What did you predict that game to be?
Sorry?
So what did you predict that game to be?
I thought it was going to be a 10-10 draw. The more I look at the matchup, the more I realise if I go first, I can get a lot more points. If I go second, it's like 5 at max in differential scoring. It's not good. It's not a good matchup at all. Custodes generally used to be really good, pretty good for us. The Lions rule of +1 to wound just hurts so much when they're wounding monsters on 4s. It's like a 33% damage increase versus our army. So where you could normally put, say, a Tervagon in front of a unit or a Malicept in front of a unit, and go, cool, well, you're hitting on 3s, so that's a bit of a decrease. Then you're winning on 5s, so it's fine. It's now 2s and 4s. And it's so much of a damage increase. It's actually crazy.
Yeah, man. It's like Malicept has hit this one simple trick.
Yeah. So Steve went in, killed 40 Hormagaunts and the Pyrovore, which I thought was fine. That's pretty good. Okay, I've got 3 Exocrines and 2 Rupture Effects lined up. The 2 Exocrines and the 2 Rupture Effects killed 2 Custodian Guard in 1 shooting phase. And the 2 units of Termagants that I had left killed 2 Custodian Guard and put a Blade Wizard down to 1 wound. So the Termagants did more damage than the Exocrines did. I made him pop the Warden 4 up and 4 at Feel No Pain, and I never got to shot them just because I was just like, okay, cool. I just completely bounced. Steve was an absolute gent, really enjoyed the game. If any of you do get to play against Stephen Box, really, really good guy, really enjoyed the game. And just from those 2 turns, I thought, like, even when it started going badly, I'm like, okay, well, I can get maybe a 2 or a 3 out of this, and then got 20-0'd, and I'm like, yeah, that didn't feel good. The Melter Bikes are really good, but I just never got to shoot things because I bounced that first turn. I think on average, the 3 Exocrines do pick up the Custodian Guard unit. Especially with the Rupture Effects as well, and it just bounced. I couldn't convert the wounds, and then just a number of 4+s passed. I'm like, well, that shooting phase went terribly, and at that point, then it just snowballs out of the game because he's then got more resources in front of me. It's like if 3 Exocrines kill the Custodian Guard and the Blade Wizard, then I can shoot his Venatari, his bikes, or his fly guys with the Rupture Effects and start to do some damage there, and I just never got the opportunity to. But really good game. Really enjoyed it. So for the rest of the tournament...
It's not that you've been thinking about this a lot, John, right?
No, to be fair, it's one of those ones that that's the one game that's kind of stuck with me because there
you always remember your losses, right?
Yeah, and I definitely learned more from it. I think there were definitely things I could have done differently to mitigate it. I didn't think that he would just full shove his whole army into me when I probably should have, because I think that's their best path to victory versus us currently. Just pushes in, make it really difficult to score. So I probably mispositioned.
That generally is the best plan.
Yeah. So I potentially mispositioned my Hormagaunts, which meant I couldn't just go out and screen in front of them. Even though the bikes do the mortal wounds, it can still cause a little bit of movement shenanigans, and I never got the opportunity to. And I think of all the games, it was definitely the one where I kind of completely mismatrixed, completely misread the matchup. I didn't realise how much of an impact that +1 to hit, +1 to wound would make in that matchup. So definitely a lot learnt there. And I think it was one of those ones where, although it was a big loss, I still believe that it's a losing matchup. So singles, no interest, do not want to see that across the board from the army. But in teams, I should be able to get sort of 4 to 6 points, depending on what it is.
100%.
But in terms of them, and actually, I might have misread the matchup slightly because I played Custodes 2 games earlier. So the rest of the tournament, so round 1, paired into a lovely guy playing Ironstorm, but it was completely Dreadnought. So he had 3 Redemptors, 3 Ballistas, and 2 Brutalis. And it was one of those really weird ones where it's kind of like, oh, okay, Ironstorm's interesting. I only killed 5 Dreadnoughts throughout the whole game. But I presented him with this really weird puzzle of, well, if you push your Redemptors in front of me, I'm going to charge them with 20-man gaunt units that you cannot physically kill, because most of your weapons are blast. You have 5 attacks in melee. Go. And so he has to play really cagey. He has to play really cagey as well. So I managed to pull out a big win there. Round 2, I finally got the chance to test the Eldari theory. So I played against Seer Council Eldari, which I think is the better version versus Gaunts, because they have the 8 big flamers in the 2 Seer Council, in the 2 Guardian units with the Warlock Conclaves in. Seer Council's also Seer Council, I also feel, has a really good ability because it has the up and down stratagem. So they pick up a unit, drop it down. So it's their fire dragons can
in the movement phase as well, right?
Yes, and it's actually interesting because their fire dragons can actually threaten your monsters, because against Yunari they don't have that ability, and you just end up standing in front of them with a load of gaunts, and they can never get into melter range. Whereas this unit can go up and go down and go, cool, all right, now I'm in melter range. And Fugan's cool as well. Load of Phoenix Lords, really cool army, but just too many bodies and too much primary control. Termagants themselves are really good against Eldari. 36 strength 3 pistol shots is a lot of damage versus toughness 3 models. So big win there. Then I got to play and then end of day 1 we played the War Hamsters, and I paired into Lions of the Custodians. One of the best games I've ever played, really enjoyable game. So Lions of the Emperor Custodians, again, this was triple Warden Brick, double Caladius. This is more kind of the Folger Piles list variant. And I managed to get a 10-10 draw out of it. But what I should have seen is it was take and hold 6 objectives. So I scored the same amount of primary as my opponent did, despite getting killed pretty efficiently. And when I got into the final round, I'm a bit like, okay, they might try and pin me here, but I can probably get a draw. And realistically, I can get paired into this and I'll get a losing loss. And I probably deployed too normally, and I could have deployed a lot further back and just focused a lot more on one side of the board and gone, fine, you have to hit this whole lot, and then just kind of spread out. So that was unfortunate. Round 4, we got to play the Grimdark Garage. Again, Alex Gins, Michael Boyle's team. Fantastic group of guys, really enjoyed it. Got to play against the same Eldari opponent that I played 2 ITTs ago, who was also on Eldari and had exactly the same thing happen to them there. They got gone carpeted. The Yunari, I actually learned a lot about the Yunari matchup. They didn't play super aggressive, they played super cagey. I'm still yet to find an Eldar opponent who throws their army into me, like as an interest, as kind of a thought experiment. So the Gorn Carpet has a couple of advantages over other Tyrannid builds. So number 1, their lethal intent is less good because their lethal intent counts as a normal move. So it can trigger your Gaunt's reactive move. So they can't, for example, react lethal intent onto a center objective, because then you just put more OC worth of Gaunts on the objective.
Yeah.
They also don't really have that many movement shenanigans with their fire dragons. So like their fire dragons don't get to shoot your monsters. They're shooting lictors or they're shooting Hormagaunts. Hormagaunts trade really well into them, and it was just kind of one of those things where it was just, he never wanted to reveal his Incarn brick, because 3 Exocrines just then target it and just it puffs out of existence.
The which one brick? The
Incubi brick.
Incubi brick, yeah.
So he didn't take he took the standard Yunari list rather than Nick Nanavati's version with the Storm Guardian Warlock Conclave build instead.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting game where, again, just slowly but surely just bled the game out, got more and more primary, denied them a lot, and came out with a big win there as well. And then obviously final round. So we ended up 3-0-2, so 3 wins and 2 draws, and we finished 7th. We were 5 points off of making the final cut. So it was really, really hard. It was really, really hard, but it was a thoroughly enjoyable tournament, and it was really good to do. So not sure I'm at the next one because it doesn't quite fit with the summer. But hopefully I'll be at the one in Hemel at the end of the year. We'll have to see what team I'm on for that.
Yeah, of course. Brilliant. If you don't know Hemel, was that the one we're doing?
No, it's the ITT.
The ITT.
The
we are doing
ITT.
Right. Okay. Sound. Very cool. We nice. I'm actually doing the next teams, so it's a shame you're not doing it.
I know.
I decided to bite the bullet. Well, with me going to Nova, so I've booked tickets to go to Nova in the United States of America, which is going to be super exciting. But that's going to be all on GW terrain, all that kind of stuff. So I'm a few things to try and get ready for that. So I've got seeing how that goes to get some GW games on that, and I'm also going to do the Teams event to try and understand what the hell is happening in the meta. So we'll see if that works or not, because I figure that'll be a good way to get loads of reps and then try and understand what's the good, bad matchups, etc. So yeah, forced me to do it. So yeah, very good. Other than that, though, nothing going on with me except I've got my league ending, my local league. I was top of the league and then I got beat off Yanari, which was very frustrating. But now I've got 2 more games. If I win both of them, there's a good chance I win the league. If I lose one of them, I will not win the league. So,
oh no,
fingers crossed. Louis is one of my opponents. He's actually on Invasion Fleet. I'm on GSC final day because I wanted to be a special kid, and yeah, so I am terrified. It's a really hard matchup for my GSC to go into, but we'll find out how that goes. I will let you all know. Right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. Please like and subscribe, and before you've seen the content, just like and subscribe now. You're going to love it. Let's move over to the screen. All right, I need to move that down a bit. Right, nice. So you can see we have 5 tiers here. The top one in red is the. Hang on, let me just move this down a bit. Can I make that better? You know what? It's fine. We've got 5 tiers. We've got every one of these levels begins with in because it's Invasion Fleet. So we've got S tier, which is invade. Inspired is A tier. Informed, because you are making an informed choice, is B. Inept is rubbish, so C. And then inert, not doing anything for you, is D. Now, we're not going to go through every unit because me and John want to go to bed this evening at some point. So we're not harpies, anything like that. It's just not going on. So we're going to do all the data sheets that are reasonable to do. That's the angle we're going for. So yeah, and of course, if you want to input, please do. Please comment in the chat and tell us which unit and which tier you think it should go into. If we've made a terrible call, tell us what unit in the chat we've made a terrible call on. And if you would like to, I guess, rush to a unit in the list, stick in a super chat, even a quid will do, and we'll go to that unit straight away. All right, let's get on with the show. So, first one up, we have a Broodlord. What do we think about the Broodlord, John?
So if I learned anything that you need melee in your current Tyranid list that's actually relevant melee, and the Broodlord ticks that box straight away. There's a few armies in the meta that want to play against one activation phase armies. Let's think Lions of the Emperor Custodes. They want to play against an army that has all shooting, so then they can put their 4 up, feel no pains where it matters. Having access to the Broodlord does give you a big combat unit, obviously, along with the Gene Stealers, does give you a big combat unit that can actually hurt. It's also, in theory, one of the only ways we deal with the 20-man warrior brick from Necron's Awakened Dynasty efficiently. So for me, it's slap bang straight in the A tier. It's not S because I don't think it's needed in every version of Tyranids of Invasion Fleet, but I do think it's an inspired choice. I think it's fantastic. And I'll be adding them to my army.
It's not S.
No,
you can. 10 Gene Stealers and a Broodlord is not S tier.
Yes, but it's 10 Gene Stealers and the Broodlord. It's not the Broodlord.
No, but okay,
Sorry.
So we have to put it in context. We would never take a Broodlord on its own, right?
No. So you can definitely convince me to go into S tier. I just think there are units that go above it in an army, if that makes sense. It's fine. Davey's taking executive decision, guys. Davey's taking executive decision.
Starting strong and just overruling John's A tier nonsense here. No, man, Broodlord. So first name on the team sheet is the level I am at with this. If you had to play an Invasion Fleet, 10 Gene Stealers and this fella will do so much for you in terms of scaring the living daylight at your opponent with a scout move and an aggressive first turn charge that 99% of the time you will never do. It also I loved it in my Invasion Fleet list because it was just sat there and was a terrible, like an awful threat for your opponent. Just to be like, it's sat in the middle of the board. If you want to fuck around, you can find out. Like that is what the Broodlord and the 10 Gene Stealers is doing. Funnily enough, you play it in GSC, it's a very different unit because
Yeah, it
it's got
is.
infiltrate and advance and charge. So it's very, very different. No rerolls to hit and wound, natively anyway. And still got the devs. But the Broodlord actually is better, I think, in Tyranids than it is in GSC. The GSC ability is take a battle shock, like 6-inch aura of battle shocks at the start of the fight phase. Sounds amazing. And in some matchups, it can be good. Then you play demons and you heal the units that you're killing. It's horrible. All right. Well, we'll skip forward to the Broodlord's partner in crime, the Gene Stealer. Where do we think the Gene Stealer's going?
C tier.
This guy. This guy.
It has to. Well, if we've made the executive decision to put the Broodlord in S, the Gene Stealers unfortunately have to go in S tier as well because you can't do one without. Well, you can do one without the other. I don't recommend it in Tyranids. The reason I think that you see GSC playing 5-man Gene Stealer units is purely because of the infiltrate rule. The 5-man 75-point unit with infiltrate is mental. The Scout 8, trust me, Scout 8 is not infiltrate.
Well, so the only thing I would say is JP Watson, friend of the show, John P, that's it, and friend of the show, really, really great guy, and he plays little 5-man infiltrate, little 5-man skirmishing units. It's fine. I don't think it's great, but he's just the king of weird, awful takes, but then making it work. So
I think if you're looking at it in terms of 5-man trader units, it's more kind of your A or your B tier. It does a job, but it's competing with other things that also do that sort of similar job. Like Lictors and Raveners. And, like it's 75 points for 5. In Tyranids, we are pretty lucky with the size of units we have at that sort of point cost. You've got Neurolictors, you've got Lictors, you've got Raveners, you've got Von Ryan's Leapers. We have a lot of things that are competing in that kind of territory, whereas we don't have anything that competes with a 10-man Gene Stealer unit with a Broodlord.
No. Not even 6 warriors and a prime, all you crazy people out there. It's not the same. Right. John, Deathleap. How do you feel about Deathleap nowadays?
He can go in the dumpster tier. So
in dumpster?
He's not in dumpster tier. He's like a B tier. He's fine. One of the biggest problems with with Deathleaper, it's not Deathleaper and his rules. It's Deathleaper and his model. The model is bigger than a Hive Tyrant. The challenge I found with, and again, I pretty much exclusively play on UKTC terrain. The challenge with Deathleaper is that his stat lines on the surface are really good, and then they didn't give him signups, which I think would have pushed him over the edge and probably made him better. The biggest challenge is he's the same points as a Neurolictor. The Neurolictor has as much rules, but is also smaller, easier to hide. Remember, this guy's on a ginormous base. Like he's on a bigger base than a Hive Tyrant.
Yes.
So trying to hide him with all his arms going everywhere, all over the place, I just find to be really difficult. If we're looking solely at Invasion Fleet, there are better options for the points, and so I think he goes in B tier.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. C tier. I think he makes it into enough lists. I'm fairly happy to think that I must have something wrong about this guy because so for me, I think, okay, right, a Lictor's 60 points, he's 80. So there's 20 points difference. Is the 20 points, would you pay 20 points for a 4-up invuln enhancement, -1 leadership, and sometimes your opponent takes a battle shot for 20 points?
Yes.
And I guess you would, but then you also give up Assassinate.
Yep. And he's harder to hide. He's easier to
attack. He's harder to hide. I think he is just not quite doing it for me personally, but a lot of people take him. They love the extra 1 on the Shadow of the Warp and all that jazz when you get him in the right places.
Yes.
Yeah, I think probably low B is where I'm at.
Yeah. You've got to ask yourself so he's 80 points, which is the same as a Neurolictor, and it's the same as the Parasite. So if you're looking for like
Yeah.
that unit that you throw in the middle of your opponent to trigger all the synapse, the parasite's better. Not a survivable, but smaller, and again a lone op. So it's just looking at your other options for those 80 points.
Yeah.
I'm ready
And
though.
again, one of the things to say, guys, is I think just to reiterate my thoughts, I don't know about John's thoughts on Invasion Fleet. This is a very defensive detachment. Everything leans into playing defensively, holding two objectives, scoring secondaries with some interesting scoring pieces. That for me is the Invasion Fleet playstyle, broadly speaking, anyway.
Yep.
With that in mind, let's talk about Hive Tyrant, John.
You'll probably override me. I think it goes straight into the top of A tier.
Yeah. So funnily enough, I don't think it's. I think it's very, very top of A tier.
I think there are.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the straps are so good that having the free one is great. It doesn't do an awful lot outside of that. The thing I think it does also quite well, I suppose, is the lethal and assault aura, because you're probably taking lots of exocrines and T-Fexes and Maliceptors, and actually the Hive Tyrant really leans into those. But the strats are that good; they're the best part of Invasion Fleet. So you've always got the 5-up Feel No Pain on tap. You've got if you want to give crits to 2 units, it's only 1 CP.
Yep.
Like, it's pretty tasty. And then the last thing is enhancements in this detachment will help it, because it's fairly squishy, 2-up, 4-up. But you've got perfectly adapted, which is the S tier choice in terms of enhancement, and then adaptive biology, which you take if you're a mook. But I'm only joking. It's actually pretty good, but I just prefer the adaptive biology.
Perfectly adapted.
Perfectly adapted. That one. I want to re-roll my 4-up invul. That's what I want to do.
The challenge with the Hive Tyrant, I think, is some detachments it's critical. So I think in Crusher, it's is your S tier sort of HQ choice, character choice. The thing with Invasion Fleet, because you get built-in lethals against those vehicles, that the lethal aura in, let's say, 45% of your games doesn't matter, because you already will be lethals. It sometimes has that strange combination where you go like, right, these 2 units are going to have sustained, and they also have lethals on this target. So there are edge cases, but because our army rule, we can just go lethals army wide. It sometimes has less impact, and 225 points is still a lot of points for what the model is. Bearing in mind, the Tervigon is 175 and is infinitely, I think, is a lot more resilient. It has a 2-up save again, but it has T11 and 16 wounds. That is a better target for your adaptive biology, because it's more likely to trigger into that 4+ Feel No Pain. But it's just as a comparison.
Yeah, totally agree. I don't know if I'm interested to see where we put Tervigons now. Right, okay. We'll fly through a few of these. Oh, there's a pun and a half for the Flying Hive Tyrant. Where do we think the Flying Hive Tyrant's going? Yeah, I really like it in Sam Pope's lists. I mean, I don't think you use it in your.
No,
list,
I think the Winged Hive Tyrant goes in C, mostly because I think it's very terrain dependent. UKTC, it's impossible to play with. I think on, say, GW, where you've got those L's that it can fly through, then I think it's really good. I think it's a much better choice, and I think it has its place. I think I feel he suffers with the terrain problem.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair enough. What about Old Swarmy?
For Invasion Fleet, I think he goes into B tier. He's more expensive than a Hive Tyrant. He gives you a command point, which is nice, but doesn't give you a free stratagem. So your Hive Tyrant you can both discard a card for an extra CP. You can get an extra CP for your Lictor assassinating character, and also get the free stratagems. And he then doesn't have the Lethals aura and the Assault aura. Like, his rules are really good. He, again, for the same reason as the Hive Tyrant, he's too expensive for what he does. I think the Hive Tyrant is slightly better. The Assault aura, the Lethals aura, the free stratagem. I think it's really good.
I want to like the Swarm Lord, I really do, but it's just a bit naff, right? Like, the thing that I really like with it in Invasion Fleet. So again, you're playing defensive. Most of the action is happening around the middle objective, because that's the one you're probably fighting over. So what you can do then is you can place the Swarm Lord in near the middle objective with your 12-inch Vector, and then all of a sudden, if you put a solid unit in there, like Gene Stealers or whatever, and your opponent decides, all right, I'm just going to go and kill them, you've got the extra CP for a fight on death, but then you also, anything they're doing to kill you is an extra CP. So I do really like that side of it. That's it though. There's maybe an argument to say that sustained on his attacks is really good when he's twin linked, but I still can't believe he's more expensive than a Hive Tyrant. I think at like 190. What? I don't know.
So
Tough.
you probably take him at 190 just because it's a lot of stuff for that amount of points.
Yeah.
The thing I wish they would do, I wish that he would just get the character treatment a lot of other armies get, that he actually does something more than what the equivalent does. So you have to bear in mind, he only has 2 more attacks than a Hive Tyrant.
Yeah. Twin linked.
So's the Hive Tyrant.
Oh god, yeah, of course it is. Yeah.
Same strength, same AP, same damage. 2 more attacks.
It's bizarre.
And you get a Flamer, which is fine, versus a heavy Venom cannon.
Yeah, much of a muchness.
Yeah, and it is much of a muchness. I think if he could get like an alt profile, so he has like a big smashy one which could be damage 4, and then he also gets the sweep, because there's nothing to differentiate him massively from a Hive Tyrant in melee either. 2 more attacks is nothing. The majority of the time, it's not a lot. If they said, right,
it's bizarre that he doesn't have a sweep actually, or a sweep and a strike, you know?
Yeah, he gets like a strike, which is like 6 attacks at damage 4 AP3, and then he gets like 12 attacks at 6-2-1 or something like that. I would literally look at him a lot more then, because you can gum him up as well as you can gum everything else up. I think it'd be nice if he was able to be differentiated from a Hive Tyrant.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fair.
Because I want to play it.
There's our take on the old Hive HT. Right, coming up to... I've realised that these are all in order of unit type. So next HQ is a Neuro Tyrant.
So I think the Neuro Tyrant is A tier.
Okay. Yeah.
So my honest answer is if you're in the Invasion Fleet game, you're trying to play that kind of passive scoring game, that one turn where you cause your opponent to lose 5 or 10 points on 5 or 10 victory points can be the difference between winning and losing. What I have found is the majority of games you play with Invasion Fleet, they're really hard to get like massive crushing wins unless you just snowball the lead out. The majority of games you'll play against an equivalently skilled player. If you're playing more passive and cagey, then you're going to get more drawy games. And that one turn where you just go, cool, you're all at -1 or -2. You suddenly got a 5 when I got a 15, or you got a 0 when I got a 10, can really pull games out. The other reason I like him as well is directly related to the number of Hormagaunts you play. The more Hormagaunts you play, the better the Neuro Tyrant is. The Flamer is randomly also really good.
Oh, so my bugbear with this is I do like a Neuro Tyrant, and it was the next unit I was going to try and squeeze into my Invasion Fleet list that I did okay with. The problem I have is, okay, so let's talk about the Flamer. The Flamer's all right. It's pretty good. So it's -1/2 damage, right?
Ignores cover.
Ignores cover. Strength 5.
Yep.
So you roll your shots, you get a 6 because that's what always I roll for some reason. And say you are threatening an Overwatch. So you're sticking his head out a little bit so that it can shoot this or flame anyone who lands on an objective. Then you're gambling whether or not you kill that unit. Your opponent can then also has the agency to decide if they want to take that gamble. They can also then draw or assassinate and stick their anti-tank and blow its head off, potentially. Maybe not, obviously. So it's a bit of that. It doesn't do anything in combat. It is just a -1 on Shadow of the Warp on a stick, right? I think in other detachments, and it doesn't benefit from sustained. It's 5 Final Pain, doesn't really matter. I don't think any of the other stratagems actually are doing much for it. So I think in this detachment, it's probably one of its weakest. I'd love it in Synaptic Nexus. I love it in potentially an Invasion Fleet. Sorry, not Invasion Fleet, Crusher Stampede.
Okay. Yeah.
But in this one, I know -1 leadership is really good on Shadow of the Warp, but you've already got that from Synapse.
Yep.
And you could take Death Leaper, who's going to do a couple of other things for you at the same price. I also think, where do you put this, right? If you deploy, half of me wants to put this near my home objective to try and protect it. And then I'm like, well, I've already got a Biovore doing that. Why do I need another 105 points over there? So, and then, but you don't want to be aggressive with it because it will fall over. So, I don't know. I just feel like it's a bit lost in this detachment as to what its role is.
Yeah, I agree.
But
That's fair. That's fair. I can agree with that. The old argument to that is it's 105 points.
yeah, it's not a lot. It's not loads. I get that.
It, I th- yeah, I think it falls. It kind of falls for me. It's either low A or high B, and I think it's one of those ones where I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well,
think
let's see
that
how we get on.
yeah, no,
Let's
for
see how we
sure.
get on, and whichever one's got the most, we'll put him into the other one.
Go for it.
All right. Here's one near and dear to my heart. Old One Eye.
I'll let you. I'll let you run on this one.
So this is why A is going to be a problem. I don't think he's as good as the Hive Tyrant. I think he's way better than a Neuro Tyrant. So with these boys, the Carnifexes, they're just like in that. Like when I played them, they're just so good. They're just so good, and your opponent is like, what does that do? And you're like, well, it does all these things. It surges, it has sustained, it rerolls all its hits. It's amazing at Overwatch. Like it does Overwatch, like the Neuro Tyrant wishes it did Overwatch.
True.
Like, yeah, I think this is not as good as a Hive. I'd rather have a Hive Tyrant, but it's still pretty good. Anything,
Yeah.
anything against anything?
So
Any thoughts?
yeah. So the only thing for me on the old One Eye is that it's a lot of points, and it's not massively survivable if you compare it to other equivalent models. However, it is very cheap at 150 points for a bit of a brick wall. You can run it on its own. Personally, for me, I think they're worse than the Neurotyrant, but that's a hot take that most people may or may not agree with. I know what you mean. Like it is what the Neurotyrant wants it to be, whilst also being 3 or 4 times more expensive.
No, for sure, for sure. It's not survivable. Drop a 5 up Feel Pain on a unit with T9, 2 up armor save, with a surge that your opponent doesn't want to shoot. I don't know.
I can
Hello,
definitely.
Scurvy Gordo. Scurvy Gordo, one of our great. I believe you're in our coaching Discord, mate. Who do you think's better, Gordo? I'll let you make the decision. All One Eye and his mates, or a Neurotyrant. So let us know, and we'll come back to you.
I need to try Old One Eye again, see how he feels. I think you're just dropping
It's
a
the
lot of.
funnest as well.
Yeah, it's what you drop for it, right? Because I think at that point, it's like you're taking the Rupture Fexes, 2 Rupture Fexes, or you're taking Old One Eye.
Yeah.
Because they feel kind of that 400 point cap. Do not put that in D tier. Do not tell me that you think the Parasite is worse than Death Leaper.
Wow. Parasite better than that? Right. Well, you know what? I was thinking to myself, I want to go to bed at some point today, and we've barely made a dent on this list. But you're going to say shit like that. I need to know
Yeah.
why. Go on,
So,
hit us with your knowledge bomb.
how far does the Parasite move?
12.
Yeah, which is 4 inches more than Death Leaper.
Sure.
So it gets around better. It scoots around better.
Uh-huh.
So it scoots around faster. It is better at doing secondaries. It's annoying to deal with. It's a smaller base, low not. I personally, and this is why I say it. If you said I had to take one or the other in my army, I would take the Parasite more than I'd take Death Leaper on UKTC terrain.
Man. Oh, and you can, well, yeah. Oh, man, I don't know about that.
Are we talking about in general?
I see what you're saying. I
I
see what
think
you're saying.
I think they're much of a muchness. I think it is. I think they are. For me, it's a much of a muchness. If we were talking about Vanguard, then of course I'm going to say Death Leaper. You give him a 6-inch low knot. But here's the question: which would you rather have in Final Day
You give the
GSC?
Parasite the critical load up as well.
Yeah, no, I know. Sorry, for sure. They both got low knot. But the Death Leaper, I think, is a better unit. But if I was to ask you in Final Day GSC, which would you prefer, the Parasite or Death Leaper? Which would you take?
Death Leaper. because the leadership thing's pretty good
Yep.
for trying to stop people doing their naughty stratagems on you. And the other one, what else is it? Fight first is a vibe, right? So
Yeah.
in GSC Final Day, what you do is you put the Reductor Saboteur, which does D3 plus 3 mortal wounds to your opponent when they move within 9, and you put Death Leaper or a Lictor next to it. So that happens, and then if they charge it, they get heroic into, which is quite nice.
For me, I think they're much for muchness.
Yeah. Oh, Scott 46. Is this Scott from Scott Morris? It'd be good to see you if you are Scott. If you're not Scott Morris, it's also great to see you. Scott, can you answer the question for me? Well, because you're in chat, which is better, the Death Leaper or the Parasite Mortrix? I'll let you decide. Gordo's come back and he's let me down. He reckons that the Neuro Tyrant's better. And so I guess we have to put the Zone Throps here then as well, right?
No.
No. All right. So where's Zone Throps going? We might as well go to that now. Where's Zone Throps going?
I think they are top of B tier.
Top of B. Better than a Death Leaper?
Yes.
All right. What do we like about them in this detachment? I guess sustained.
Yeah. 5 up, feel no pain.
Yeah.
So
it feels not. Yeah.
I find the challenge with the Zone Thropes is they're too slow to get around most terrain, which is why they're so good
side, right?
It's why they're so good in Vanguard because of the pick up and go. Whereas in Invasion Fleet, they go where they go. They're very slow. They benefit from sustain, but they benefit more from the defensive buffs. But then they only benefit from one stratagem.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I think I can live with them there. That's fine. Scott Morris we're 1-1, John, on getting the audience to go our way. So we've got Death Leaper ahead of us. I think generally speaking, when you look at lists that perform well, you do see Death Leaper over the Parasite. Although I do take what you said. I think there's something to be said about that. I know that Byron was taking he was taking like 2 Parasites in his Infantry Fleet list. He's a lunatic, but he loved it. All right, second last character, Tervigan. Where's the Tervigan going, John? You said it's you were comparing it to a Hive Tyrant before. What are we doing with the Tervigan?
So for me, it's in A tier because it's essential in the Gaunt Carpet lists, but I think it's at the bottom of A tier.
I think that's totally reasonable. Totally reasonable. Do you put an enhancement on it?
No.
So you don't do the feel no pain meme?
No, it's kind of like it's 175 points. It's T11, 16 wounds, 2 up save, OC5. It hides until turn 4 and then walks out and sits on an objective and goes, cool, this is now mine for the rest of the game. Because by then you've traded off your resources.
Yeah. I think I used to be quite bullish with mine, but I get that. I think it's an interesting one because neither of its weapons do anything that they're supposed to. Like the claws won't destroy a vehicle, and its silent talons won't kill an infantry unit.
Oh.
Fair enough. Tyranny Prime.
Down with the winged Hive Tyrant.
Are we talking C or D?
C tier. It's still playable. It gives synapse. It does a lot of damage. That unit still deletes anything it touches. I agree, Scott. Why is she not T12?
Yeah.
But going to the Prime, the problem with the Prime versus say the Broodlord unit is, although it moves as fast and it deletes units as fast, it's slightly less powerful because it doesn't benefit from the detachment rule as well because it already has sustained one off of the Winged Prime.
Yes.
They are bizarrely less resilient in Invasion Fleet because a 5 up invulnerable, 5 up feel no pain almost feels as powerful as a 4 up armor save, T5 3 wounds, 5 up feel no pain.
Yeah.
The 8, I can't really tell you why one's so much better than the other, but again, there is.
I think Gene Stealers get across the board quicker.
Yeah,
you can say that they're as fast as each other, but one scouts, one doesn't. One has movement 8, one doesn't. Yes, you've got the flying unit at the front of it, but it just doesn't feel like it gets there. The amount of times that I used to use Tyranid Warriors, and they would get to the wall, and then 2 of them at the back wouldn't be able to fight because they couldn't pile in close enough.
Yeah,
very rarely have that problem with those little base Gene Stealers.
I think if you saw the warrior, the brick unit, the 6 warriors and the prime go down to 200 points, I think then you're having an argument to playing them over the Broodlord's unit, but there's not enough. There's 15 points difference at the moment. If it was 30 points, we might be having a conversation.
Yeah.
I just think where it is now, it's too expensive for what
I
versus
don't know
in
what you do.
Invasion Fleet.
I think the only way you can make them
Give them
better
a
is
3-up
give them
save.
damage two.
Give them
Damage
a
two.
3-up save as well. They just fall over like
Yeah,
wet
maybe.
bags. Or
Fair
fights
play.
first. Give them fights first.
Fights? Are you mad?
You want to make them good. Like honestly, change nothing on them. Give them fights first. I'd be very interested to see how much better that unit became if it had fights first.
Yeah, I think you just stick them on your natural expansion and say, I guess I score 10 every turn. Sweet.
Yeah, it's an option.
All right. It is. You're right. It is. Right. So over to the next unit, one close to my heart as well. Gargoyles. What do we think about gargoyles?
I'm not the person to answer that question because I don't rate them at all.
So, okay, gargoyles are amazing, right? Gargoyles are outstanding. In Final Day, they are incredible. Like, GSE players got gargoyles and were like, this is the best thing ever. The problem is, and as we've discussed, I think, and I know a lot of other people think, that the invasion fleet is a very defensive detachment, 2 objectives, do your secondaries, tick boxes. Gargoyles don't help you do that. And actually, you can get Hormigans that are going to do similar jobs for you for 20 points less. You don't benefit from sustained with these guys. You don't want to put a 5-up feel no pain on them ever. So as a result, they kind of just fall down. Now, if you're talking about Vanguard Onslaught, yeah, if you want to play that style of Vanguard Onslaught, these guys are great. It's funny, if you talk to anyone who doesn't play Tyranids, they are like, gargoyles are the best thing since sliced bread. I can't believe you don't see them more often. They're just awesome, but for some reason they're not finding a home in a Tyranid detachment. I think if Warrior Bioform Onslaught gets some kind of improvement, I think these guys are going to go through the roof again because you can drop a 5-up invuln on them, on 20 of them, which is pretty fun. But it's tough to find the detachment for these guys.
Yeah, it's the points difference between Hormagaunts and Gargoyles. Both move quick. Like I get there's a difference. Randomly, also only having a 6-up save versus a 5-up save. When the meta has things like Swooping Hawks, they fall over a lot faster than Hormagaunts do. As a random bullet catches, they are definitely worse.
Nice, cool. All right, I think I've put them in the middle of B. What do you reckon?
Sure.
All right.
They're fine.
All right.
They're
Speaking
fine.
of
They're
which,
fine.
we've got gargoyles at home. Hormigans.
I think they are S tier.
Yeah, I do as well. I think if you don't have 10 of these boys at least, I think you're missing out.
Yep. So I like Hormagaunts for 2 reasons. One, they're 65 points for 10. They have advanced charge. They're 65 points. They're 6.5 points per model. They're just bullet catchers. But what I do really like about them is they have innate movement 10. So if you draw aerial denial on turn 1, if you draw cleanse on turn 1, they will always get to a central objective and do an action. Termagants don't always do it. And generally, I would rather throw away 10 Hormagaunts onto doing that than a Lictor, because you string out 10 Hormagaunts, they kill a couple, and then they regrow onto the objective. And they ask some really randomly weird questions of your opponents when you play them. 10 mans are fantastic. 20 man has a place. I ran a 20 man. I probably won't do it again. I didn't massively enjoy it. But for 130 points, for 20 of them in your army, it's like, I mean, they are really, really good.
Yeah, I have run 10. I've run 20. I like the 20 for doing the same job as other people have the Termagant ones. So the Termagant one, you can obviously reactive move behind the wall, maybe, and then regrow onto the objective if you lost a couple. Hormigans are the same. You just, you keep one near the wall and then you regrow on. So they do that same job. But then you've also got that added benefit, as you say, of having 10-inch move where you can just go, and you're jailed for this turn. You just go, no primary, and I am here. It's funny, a unit that I never use, it's rule, right? I never use it for advancing and charging. I generally think, like, unless you're playing Eldar, why would you ever charge these guys? Like, I mean, you were saying, having strength 4, there are occasions when it is useful, but like for the majority of the time, these guys, what they're going to do for you is they're going to get secure nomad. You're going to draw secure no man's land. You're going to want to deny your opponent's primary, and you put it on your objective, and you get a 10-point swing. Happy days. Thank you very much. They're great. Nice. So Scott saying, always like 1 or 2 units, mainly for primary denial. I think he's talking about gargoyles here.
Yep.
So it's hard to take opponent's expansion on Crucible. So there is the value there. I feel like if you take you can take 1 unit of gargoyles, put them in the sky. I think that kind of works.
Yes.
Termagants.
There are places.
Let's ask Termagant John.
They have to go in beta. They have to go.
I think you're right.
They're top of beta, I think. They're much. You see them more than you see Death Leapers and Zone Threats. They're still a 10-point. They're still a 60-point 10-man unit that are really annoying to get rid of because of the scuttling horrors and all of that. So I think that there is a place. I just think that in comparison to Hormagaunts, if you're going down the Termagant unit, you almost want to be playing the more like take 40 to 60 of them. Like 40 Termagants is 240 points. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
And it's really nice.
I think you're bang on. I think this is what informed tier is, right? It's like, I know what I'm going to do. I am going to go all, like, if you are playing Zoanthropes, you'll build the list of benefit Zoanthropes. And I think the same thing with the Termagants. Yeah, they're great. They do the job. Here's one that I think is really undervalued. It's the Barb Gorn. Really interesting. I think it's probably B tier, but 65 point. You get 5 bodies that are basically Space Marine scouts, and yeah, they kind of just walk on, do an action or something, or then there's that weird matchup where they're going to be amazing and just absolutely rip your opponent to shreds. I don't think they go up it. I think they're better than a Parasite.
They're 55.
But I know John doesn't use Parasite.
They're all
55. Sorry,
55 for 5. So I think that they are better. I mean, I think they're better than Zoanthropes, but that's just me. They are B. For me, they're B tier still.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with you on the Zoanthropes. I'd rather Zoanthropes. So what you're paying? You're paying how much is Zoanthropes now? 100.
200 for 100 for 3. So
you
get 10 bar points. Same point.
Yeah, I think they're in a similar category.
Barb Gaunts, I feel, are the problem with Barb Gaunts is they are victims of the meta, and at the moment the meta looks like it's going to be a lot of power armor equivalents. So Emperor's Children, World Eaters, Space Marines, Death Guard, and Barb Gaunts do nothing. They are interesting. They are bizarrely interesting good against Death Guard when they make them move 3 inches.
2 for the Terminators, right?
2 for the Terminators, exactly. If you can get a line with one guy and it hits a Terminator, it's like it moves 2 inches, and then it's -2.
We've seen some of the guys in America taking, I think was it a Vanguard onslaught list when Green Tide was a thing, with 3 times 5 of these. It's so
3
funny.
10s. It was Matt Laura.
3
10s, yeah.
Because the value of that is pretty strong. Because it's D6 shots each. So you're playing into 20 bricks. I mean, PC Council, if you can draw a line on one of those big bricks, you can do some work.
And I think that's the thing is it trades really well because it's 110 points. Like it is a lot of value.
I think as well what this depends on. Can you get plunging fire? If you can get plunging fire, I'm way more interested.
Fair enough.
So, Pyrovore.
That's a Biovore, isn't it?
Is it a Biovore? It's a Biovore.
S tier at the top. Put it in front of everything.
Yeah,
and you will not convince me otherwise.
We don't need to talk about that anymore.
B tier, whatever, it will do something. It's better than the majority of B tier. If you have 40 points, it will be great. If you don't worry about it. That's my feel for it. I can be convinced to put it in A.
I'm going to put it in A, but I'm feeling B. Hey, Tile Master, good to see you, mate. I really don't rate them, but I've seen a few of them about. Yeah,
It's 40
okay.
points. It's 40 points. It's the best thing
It
for
doesn't
40
benefit
points.
from anything in this detachment. At least you could pay 15 points more, get barb gaunts, right? Maybe? No, okay, fine.
I think so. I just going back to the Pyrovore. I think its value increases with the number of Maliceptors you have because giving AP2 ignores cover is really valuable. When you're on Exocrines, generally you're putting the important stuff on its 4-up inbun anyway. So I definitely find that the Pyrovore works. Is the value of a Pyrovore increases with the number of Maliceptors you have.
Yeah, that's fair. That is very fair. And that's going to be an interesting topic when that comes around. What about an exocrine?
Put it in the A tier. Put it in the S tier, wherever you want.
S tier?
Oh yeah.
Wherever we want. I think that's where it lives.
Bread and butter of
I
Tyranid
still would
armies.
rather have James Taylor.
Yeah, for sure. It's still, but I think it is the bread and butter of Tyranid armies. Like you just take 2 of them, 3 of them. They're 140 points still. They're still ludicrously efficient. Like, yes,
Yeah.
there are things that do it better. Like the new World Eaters Forge Fiend is probably better point for point than
Oh
it.
my god. So a bit of a
But
plug. I was on stream playing the new World Eaters on Thursday, just past. It's our Thursday night fight night. I took the new Rhino World Eaters detachment against Aspect Host, I think it was, and those Forge Fiends go off. They are so good.
if you're playing World Eaters and you're not taking 3 of them, you're trolling. I think
Yeah,
is how Anthony Vanella has talked about it. He hates the Rhino detachment, but just take 3 of them. They're
yeah.
like
The Rhino detachment's not the best,
ridiculous.
but it's if we could do something with points, I think you need another Rhino full of dudes to make that work.
Yeah.
Because at the moment you can only take 3 Rhinos and 3 10-mans, I think. But if you can get another Rhino full of dudes, I quite like that.
But
Harrison.
Exocrines, yep, that is going in the B tier. Potentially, you could put it in C for Invasion Fleet. It just doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I like it if it gets there, but it just never gets there.
So I like it in Crusher. So
Yeah,
there's 2 things. So I like it more in Crusher as a rapid ingress threat. It's 125 points. It's ridiculously cheap for what it does. Like if you said to someone, "I want a 14 wound T11 model which eats stuff in combat," this is like literally your model.
yeah,
For 125 points. The problem with Invasion Fleet is the benefit Crusher, it gets impact hits and it gets walks through walls. In Invasion Fleet, it gets none of those, doesn't barely benefit, and doesn't get any rerolls. And AP1 sucks. So
yeah.
Invasion Fleet is just not there. You for 15 points more, you can take a Trigon. That's the best comparison.
Yeah, it loves sustained and it loves if you can get overrun onto it, like moving it. If you can give it synapse somehow, and you can just run it 6 inches into something like it's after it's killed something is awesome. I'm really thinking, what do I take to Nova? And like, I'm obviously thinking of all the different armies, and like Crusher Stampede is a really good transportable army. I'm really, and I'm like, I would love to make something like a player Harris Spexes because they're just fun. But I can't even look at one in Invasion Fleet. It's just awful. It just can never get there. It just never gets there. I know we had um, we've seen like lists, especially like we've seen Vanguard Onslaught lists take them and do really well. They can work on GW terrain,
Yeah.
but I think if you look at other terrain sets, it's just a disaster. All right, the new hotness, Johnny. It took a year and a bit for people to love this unit. Do you know what unit it is? The
No.
Ravener. How do you feel about Raveners?
In A tier, below the Hive Tyrant.
Yeah, boy. I think that's fair. They are great. They're like budget gene sealers that go up and down. And
Yep.
I actually had what did I have? I had 612 in my invasion fleet list. I had a 6-man and 2 3s, and they were so much fun to play with. Yeah, they're not optimal, but they were like having that 6-man just fly across the board and do sustained hits, and then twin linked, and it was a lot of fun, But they're just brilliant. They love the crits on 5s. They love overrun. So yeah, they really vibe with this detachment. Is it probably their best detachment outside of Vanguard Onslaught?
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah,
It's definitely the best detachment outside of Vanguard Onslaught. 100%
yeah.
agree with that.
And actually, I'd say it's compatible. I would say it's not. Advance and charge on them is amazing, but actually, I think the rule support might be good, just as good in Invasion Fleet. Sustained hits,
Yeah, yeah,
crits on fives if you can drop that on them.
yeah.
Yeah, fair.
I'm
All
in,
right.
I'm interested to see what the new kill team rules are going to be for them.
Yeah,
What 40k rules that kill team will get.
I'm not sure. I think they're just going to be a unit of Raveners, mate.
Everything else seems
I'm,
to have had new rules, but we'll see.
yeah,
It's
but
just
what
because
that's special?
I don't know. It's just because they've had all the different types in each one's a different type of Ravener. So I'm just interested to see if it's
Yeah.
like a 6-man unit that gets these special rules.
But they come with they come with pieces to make them into a Ravener.
Yeah, yeah, no,
So
for
that's the
sure.
issue. But I think also I mean, I'm looking at how many. Look, I'm going to show you. This is how many data sheets Tyrannids have.
Oh my goodness me!
Yeah, we're not going through all of those. Don't worry.
Good lord.
But yeah. All right. We don't need any more data sheets. We need the units we've got to be interesting. Right. Here's one for you, John. Here's one of your favorites. The old Hive Guard.
You can put them in detail. They are niche to say the least. They need a significant rework or go down like 50 points.
Yeah.
The challenge with Hive Guard is their indirect looks really good, and trust me, in some matchups it's real good. The problem I have found, or my problem theory with them is, again, if we're going into a marine equivalent meta, then they're not good. But also, even against Eldari, like your potential best matchup, they're fine. They're
Yeah.
200 points at that point. So for me, they need to go down a significant chunk of points to ever see any sort of play. And the shot cannons need some real help. 24 inches AP1. That needs to be AP2 and a bit more powerful than that. And again, a points decrease.
Are they,
If they
the anti-vehicle 4 up as well, right?
they hit on a 4 up.
Oh,
So the problem with Hive Guard is the risk Games Workshop run with Hive Guard with Hive Guard, yeah, and it's potentially the Tyrant Guard problem as well. The problem with them is they're a problematic data sheet that needs to get reworked rather than just dropping them in points. Because at some point, you will just take 6 of these because it's 24 T7 wounds.
yeah.
It's also like if you drop the Tyrant Guard too much lower, you're going to be just playing them because it's 24 T8 wounds.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just doing this because they're hard to kill and it's 130 points or something. It's the Ogren Bulgrim problem. At some point, they just become too cheap.
Yeah.
And you might as well take them.
Yeah. So I suppose they do benefit from the detachment. They do live a 5 feel no pain. They do like sustained to make their really crap guns a little bit less crap. I'm gonna say JP was not daft for taking them to teams. I'm gonna put them in C.
Fine. Okay, cool.
What do you think of Tyrant Guard?
Same place.
Yeah, in this detachment. Although, yeah, I mean, you just don't like. They sound good. They're just not.
The detachments where they're good, and again, they are the unit that these sorts of units I'm most worried about whenever the buffs come round, because at some point they'll just buff them to be so like if you made 3 of them 60 points, they're 80 at the moment. If you made 3 of them 60 points, 6 of them is 120. You're just taking them because it's 24 T8 wounds.
Yeah, 360
Aside
points
from
for that.
yeah, and then so 18 of them is 360 points. Like what?
And the Synaptic Nexus lads already done really well with 12 of them or 18 of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, I think they're really well pointed at the moment, but it's not for this detachment.
No, agreed. Next
All
one.
right, here's one to the other end of the table. What about do you think of a Lictor?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think they're good. I think they're not essential, but they're very, very, very good.
Yeah, like I don't think there's much benefit to with the detachment. Having sustained on them is kind of nice, but you're never dropping a 5 at feel no pain. You're never putting there. You're never using any of the strats on this, but that's just data sheet good.
Yep.
All right, here's one I find really interesting. So I mentioned at the start of the show, I am playing my last game in the league against it's top of the table clash, second versus first. If I win, there's a chance I win the league. The chap is playing Invasion Fleet, and he's taken 3 Maliceptors. What do we think of the Maliceptor? I'm keen to hear people in chat here because this is you haven't seen them very much, but boy, they're good. What do you reckon, John?
I think they're A tier, above the Neurotyrant, below the Raveners. I mostly for the reason that I think that Maliceptors are another unit that falls into the meta dependent category because when they're good, they are phenomenal. So if you think back that not that long ago when Chaos Space Marines were on their index and you were seeing Chosen spam, 3 units of 3 Chosen with 3 Lords, Triple Maliceptor just literally shut that army down entirely. They just couldn't kill them. So I think with looking at the way the meta goes, so Emperor's Children, World Eaters, the T11 is big against World Eaters because those Forge Fiends win them on 5s. Death Guard, like anything that 3 damage is going to be relevant against, and that -1 to hit penalty is huge against melee armies. Not Custodes. Custodes are just BS. We don't worry about bullshit Custodes anymore. Against a lot of the meta, like having that amount of extra damage 3. So if you imagine you're taking 3 Exocrine, 3 Maliceptors, you could start to see the 3 Maliceptors replace the double rupture effects in these armies where that casino cannon just becomes slightly less good.
I think you always take 1 rupture cannon because it makes your opponent act in such a weird way. But I can totally see why you wouldn't take 3. I played against Kevin Davies recently. He absolutely bodied my GSC.
I mean, that's unplayable in most regards.
It was on Purge the 4 as well. It was a disaster.
Oh no!
And as well, I couldn't even win on primary in terms of holding more or anything because it was 6 objectives.
Jesus.
Anyway, he had 3 rupture effects, 2 rupture effects, 1 acid, and those data sheets are great.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have a Maliceptor. The problem with the Maliceptor is it falls in between the rupture effects and the Exocrine. It's more expensive than Exocrine, and I think we forget how good it is because again in this detachment you're quite happy just keeping your hand on your opponent's forehead with Hormagaunts, Gargoyles, Termagants, Gene Stealers while you blast them from 36 inches away. Yep. And I think the Maliceptor sometimes loses out in that. Now you can build a different type of list where you go, okay, I'm going to try and hold the midboard and I'm going to make it really awkward for you. A bit more of an interactive invasion fleet, call it that. You don't want to necessarily go roaming into your opponent's deployment area, but you will stand on 2, maybe 3 objectives with these Maliceptors and say, you can come and punch me, it's going to be hard. You can shoot me, it's going to take you ages. What do you want to do about it? I would, if I had the time and I was playing enough games, I'd give Maliceptors a go again.
Yeah,
because I think they're very cool. But yeah,
so, well, a while ago, like not the current meta, I played a Crusher list, which was Old One Eye and his mates, triple Maliceptor, double Exocrine, and it bodied a lot of things. But that was at that point a fairly marine heavy meta.
Yeah,
and I lost a guard, couldn't make a 4-up of vulnerable safe to save my life. But those 3 Maliceptors are really annoying for things to kill. I really rate the Maliceptors. I do think they could do with a points decrease. Like 170 is probably 10 points too much. I think at 160 they're probably okay, and they're probably still okay. But don't sleep on them. They're really good. They are underrated good. They're very strong.
Something that is not underrated good, John, is the Morlock.
Put that in the dumpster fire.
Is it better than Hive Guard? Yeah.
No. Probably. Is it better than Tyrant Guard? Probably. Is it better than a Winged Hive Tyrant? Not a chance.
Yeah, I think I'd rather take a Winged Hive Tyrant, yeah.
Morlock,
love the models. Love sustained. It loves sustained, right? But that's about it. It's not doing anything else for you.
Doesn't benefit from its own rule. You want it to be going up and down multiple times. You want to make use of that mortal wound spam a lot.
It never happens. It's a fairy tale. Even if you do that in Vanguard Onslaught, it's a fairy tale. It never happens.
Let's just say that this model doesn't appear in Vanguard Onslaught, and that's the detachment. detachment for it.
Yeah, it's better in Synaptic Nexus. I used to look. Oh man, I'd look.
Sure,
Oh, maybe
that's
that's
fair.
what I take to. Depends on the meta, obviously, but I would love to take the old triple Morlock Synaptic Nexus. Here's some mortals. Would you like some mortals with your mortals? Yeah, it's good fun. Right, again, my opponent in the league is taking 22 Neurogons.
You
What
put
do
them
we
where
think?
you want. Put them where you want. Move on. I think they're terrible, but that's just me.
Yeah, OC1.
6 up save T3. I'd rather spend 20 more points on Hormagaunts.
Yeah, I think
That's fine.
there. Neurolictor.
Somewhere in A tier. It's got better with the points decrease.
Really?
Being 80 points makes a big difference over 90
Is it
points.
better than Deathleaper? Well, is it
Yes.
better? It probably is better than Deathleaper.
I think it probably is. It's
I
as
think it's better
survivable
than
as
a
Deathleaper.
Pyrovore. Yeah, I think
I
it goes
agree.
there. Better than a Pyrovore, right?
Yep, I think it's fine.
Non-assimilator.
Keep it at home in your box, or convert it to be a non-emissary. Better than all. It's in B tier. It's in B tier. It's fine. It just
It's
doesn't
in
benefit
B.
from the rules.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it doesn't benefit from any rules. There's nothing. Is there anything that makes it good in this? No.
It's
Yeah, I'd rather have
sustained.
Swarmlord.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd rather have a Haruspex, to be honest.
Fine. Put it below that then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're right. Different story. Non-emissary.
The A tier.
Yeah, I love this.
Okay.
I think
Cool.
no, I think
I
I'm
think
with
it's
you.
around
I think
there.
it probably goes there. Big fan of it. Big fan of it. It will score 33% of your points. Is it good in this detachment for any reason? Yes, because if you go second, you just stick a 5 fill pain on it anyway.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice.
It was.
Um,
It's obviously really good in Crusher because it walks through walls.
yeah.
Like it's still a Crusher Stampede model more than an Invasion Fleet, but it definitely has
Really?
legs in it. Yeah. Like you sit it on an objective and go, cool. I've got a 5 at feel no pain, and also it then has -1 to hit in melee, which makes a big difference.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's all right in Crusher. I think, but I would rather, if I was to pick a detachment for it, I'd go Synaptic Nexus,
Sure.
Invasion Fleet, Crusher.
Okay. I'd probably go
Well,
Crusher Synaptic Invasion, but that's also fun. I agree, it's still a very strong model. It having one in your army is great against a lot of matchups. It will just sit there and score a bucket load of points.
Psychophage.
Yeah. B tier, move on. It's fine.
Here?
Yep,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
95. It's 95 points. You do occasionally see it in Gaunt Horde. It's fine. It's a 95 point, quite difficult to remove model.
Yeah. Again, one I'd maybe try and Crusher, to be honest, because if it goes like in terms of starting a trade war, just stick that through a
Great.
wall with a 5 fill no pain for 95 points. Yeah, okay, take that off.
Does no damage, but doesn't die easily, and it's OC3. It's fantastic.
All right. I'm not going to do Ripper Swarms because who cares? Screamer Killer.
I don't know why you picked that one up. That can.
It can live with a more. I think it's above a Morlock.
Yeah.
The reason why
We're now getting into the dregs of Tyranids.
there's a couple of units that are not bad here just to still go, but yeah, like
Let's focus on them.
it likes the stratagems, but if you're using the stratagems on this, you're very sad with life. Sticking a 5 for no pain on something with 10 wounds, you're just playing with fire. Toxicrane, I guess we're going D. Trigons. Not for this detachment.
Losing, they're I think they're better than a lot of B tier stuff, but like I wouldn't have it. I would definitely play a Trigon. No, I think it's below. It's below the Gargoyles. I think it's about there. Losing its ability to rapid ingress 3 or 6 inches away has almost killed the model, which is why it's 140 points now.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's a very, very Timu Swarmlord, maybe? Lots of attacks at strength 10 minus strength 9 minus 2 3 damage.
It's fine. It falls into the whole category. If its shtick was rapid ingressing 3 inches away, making it really difficult for your opponent, nuke sort of missiling into their deployment zone, taking the home objective for a turn, and then dying, and it doesn't do that anymore. So
again, I think it's one of those. I think in Crusher or something like that, I think there's some real legs there, but to make it better. But yeah.
It misses rerolls for sure.
Oh yeah, massively. Range warriors, I guess,
D-tier.
awful. Eh?
D-tier.
DT. I thought you said
Don't,
B. I was like, what?
don't take them.
Rupture cannon.
Put it in the S tier.
I think it's bottom of S.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Solid model, really hard to kill, annoying.
5 up feel no pain, loves it. You'll always roll a 6 on one of your rupture cannon shots.
Yep. Just one tap something.
Yeah, it is a beauty. 5 OC. One of my favorite things about it. 5 OC. Wonderful.
Yeah, played a
Venom
1,000.
Throps.
I was going to say, just with the rupture effects, played a 1,000 point game against the wife. She one shot the X Grim with it. I was most unhappy. It turns out still good. She was very happy. I was not.
Yeah, still good.
All right, Venom Thropes.
Venom Throps. Did you use Venom Throps in your Gaunt list?
I do. They're definitely B tier. They only go in one army, which is
Yeah.
I think they're up with Barb Gaunts. They're very good in the army.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. Like when you want them,
not as good as Gargoyles though.
All right. When you want them, you want them. When you don't, you don't.
Fair. Von Ryan's Leapers, where you stand on this? Because I know and this is the last one, John. Von Ryan's Leapers, where do you stand on these boys?
I am really struggling with Von Ryan's Leapers at the moment because if we're talking about invasion fleet specific, they are, and I'm trying to take into account the meta. Are we talking about 3s or 6s?
Either or.
So, in invasion fleet, I think they are, for the points you're paying for them, the worst of the 70-point options because they don't have lone op. They are hard to kill still with stealth, and they do pack a punch. But they don't have advance and charge. And I think that Raveners are significantly better. Yeah. I am going to say that they are better than a Pyrovore, and I'm going to say they are equivalent to a Neurolictor. I only say this because I don't play with them, and that's potentially rose-tinted glasses on everything else. I've played with Raveners, I've played with 5-man Gene Stealer units, I've played with everything else. I just haven't played with Von Ryan Leapers. Mine aren't painted, but they're going to be painted. I think they're probably better than I give them credit for, and they are a complete nightmare for Eldari to fight against.
Yes. Yeah. So I think a 6-man in Invasion Fleet is bizarre, to be quite honest. I think, you'd rather just pay 10 points more and have 6 Raveners or Gene Stealers, whatever, right?
The Gene Stealer unit's just better.
Yeah. Well, what these guys are good at is the 3-man stopping you getting run over turn 1.
Yeah.
Stand in front of your opponent's scouting unit that wants to charge you for turn 1 or is threatening to. If you go first, you go and try and bother them or stand in front of the Rhino or whatever. Or if they go first, then they die, but they have fight first. If they get shot, that's fine. They've got stealth, so they have to put loads of stuff into it. But most likely they're putting their entire army into it. But then they have to stick everything out to shoot them in the first place. So, I don't know. They are keyword soup. So if there's a keyword out there, they've probably got it. And there's something quite nice about that. But again, I think basically my lists will be all of S, a lot of A, but there's a line where it kind of stops in A, and Von Ryan's Leapers are the wrong side of that for the most part.
I think, like, again, I find a lot of Tyranid units fall into the category of, if they are too cheap, you are taking them because they are bodies on the table, not for the rule set. And in Invasion Fleet, Von Ryan's, for me, fall into that category. At some point, T5, 3 wounds, 6 up Invan is just going to be good value for the amount of points you spend. If they go to 60 points, you're just windmill slamming 12 of them in the list for 120 points, and that's maybe 6-3-3 or 2 6s. They've got heroic intervention for free, which is a cool rule. They fight first. It's one of those units that you can never buff. You can never drop points too far, because otherwise it just falls into the category of, oh, it's cheap. 7 of like
Yeah.
12 of them in the army. Go.
Yeah.
I didn't
I mean,
really
you're already
read
there.
what the rules did. Here's some infiltrating bodies. Go.
I mean, God, yeah. I mean, how much is six? How much would be 18 of them, right? 140, 280,
360.
380, 3, 3,
Sorry, at the moment, it's
320,
420.
420.
At the
Yeah.
moment, 420 at the moment, which is way too many points.
Yeah, it's too many. Yeah. Yeah.
But if
Fair.
you
All
take
right. Yeah.
say,
It's not.
take 10 points per fight, like I'm being extreme. Say for example they dropped to 60 points for 3 because GW wants to sell them. You're just going to take 12 to 18 just because it's 360 points. Just
Yeah,
like,
man, that would be
good
insane.
luck, go. And just daisy chain them out and just go, here's my first 6. Cool, you didn't move. All right, here's the next ones. You have to shoot them, by the way. You can't fight them because they'll eat your stuff in combat. Also, here's the next ones. And there is a point where you do have to ask yourself what is too cheap. And Tyranids, at the moment, I feel Tyranids are in a position where some of the units are on the verge of just going, yeah, if we drop 10 points here, we'll just be like, cool, here's 18 of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it leans back to the invasion fleet thing of this is a defensive detachment standing on 2 objectives and doing secondaries. This is quite an aggressive unit. And I think for that reason, I mean, except for the free heroic, that's quite a defensive ability, but the rest of it, I mean, fight first also quite defensive, but again, on the wrong chassis, I think, broadly speaking. Well, John, we're there. We've done it. I think that was the fastest tier list ever made by man. I've never seen a tier list done as quick as that. We've done that in an
Very good.
hour and an
20
hour.
in
Not
an
bad.
hour. Like it.
So that's pretty good.
It is.
But we have got a question, John, for you.
No.
So Aaron, none of your business.
No.
Can we start over? Do you want to just go through each one of these, please, John?
I might get
where-
killed.
John, Aaron, none of your business. You can rewind and watch again, mate. But thank you very much for the question. Guys, thank you very much for watching. We've got 24 people in chat there. Well, in watching at the moment. So hello, good to see you. Nice. We're going to have some more content coming out soon in terms of I'm working on a move blocking video in terms of how to move block as a Tyranid player.
Nice.
Which I think should be quite nice. And then yeah, that's going to be a series. So anything you want to see or anything like that, give us a shout. But yeah, for the time being, that's going to be it for us. If you have any videos you want to see out like that, any good ideas, please hit me up. I'm always open for good ideas. Me and John will always talk about any old rubbish, so do let us know. Right, we will catch you soon. Have a great night, and yeah, see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
See you in a bit.